call to order Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022, Wyoming Valley West School District work session. Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski,
Here.
Mr. Damascus,
Here.
Mr. Hardwick,
Here.
Mr. Keating,
Here.
Mr. Usavage, Mr. Perfetto, Mr. Majer, Mrs. Cassatt. Here. Mr. Camus.
Present. We have a quorum. Have a moment of silence, followed by the salute to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Superintendent's comments, Mr. Tosh, please.
Thank you, Mr. Camus. Just a couple quick notes that were conveyed on the Sunday night robocall, just as far as scheduling in the future here in November. Next Wednesday, November the 9th, is the end of the first marking period. Friday, November the 11th, there's no school in the district due to Veterans Day. The following week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, November 14, 15, and 16, we have parent-teacher conferences at the high school, middle, and elementaries. They are Act 80 day schedules. And then finally, on Wednesday, November the 23rd, Wednesday, it's an early dismissal as we work our way to Thanksgiving recess. Thank you, Mr. Camus.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh. Before we go to statements from interested citizens, I would like to announce that there was an executive session held prior to this meeting. We discussed contracts, potential litigation. That's really all. I would also like to announce that there was an informational meeting held between Mr. Tosh, myself, Mr. Widiak, Mr. Hardwick, and Mr. Dickton, just for information purposes. And that meeting was hosted by Pass. More to come. We have no citizens this evening. Moving on to general recommended action. On these items 1 through 5, are there any questions out there, please?
4 and 5. Is this new?
Mr. Tosh, could you take that, please?
Yeah, this is Kimberly Wallach is a title coordinator for the district. And she's going to come in. Our recommendation is to come in as a consultant to help out with Title I services as well as the ARP ESSER 3 services.
Is this in lieu of what's Linda? How is this what we were going to hire Linda for?
We were looking
Linda?
there. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
I have just one question on number 5. We did discuss engaging the services of a consultant for the title services. What are we using the services of the consultant for ESSERS?
That would be, as she's done a lot of work on a state level with ESSERS, directing it on ways that it can and can't be used. So we were going to use her as a consultant with that, just to make sure from a legal standpoint that we're meeting all of the criteria, and for some suggestions for her based on her experiences on some other ways that creatively school districts have used funding.
So I have a question, Mr. Camus.
Yes.
The company that we brought in, not Kuth, the other company.
Site log IQ?
Yes. Would this be something that they would do?
No.
No. Okay. I was just wondering if you're just doubling up on services. Just
So the 15,000, is that how many hours or anything like that, or what? How are we going to track that?
Just on a weekly basis, we'll be in consultation with her.
Is that 30,000 total then? 15 for each?
Right, for each of the different services.
So I gotta admit, I'm a little bit lost with the ESSERS needs. We've applied for all 3 phases of ESSERS, had, I believe, approvals back from the state. Our projects are named. I'm not sure what 15K in consulting is going to do for something that's already established. Maybe you or
Well, one of
Mr.
the
Lydia
factors
can
that
help.
we're Looking at with it as we get through the first year is taking a look at what we spent and what we didn't spend. And to try and look at the future as far as next year is concerned on some areas that maybe we would want to direct the money towards. We just felt as though that based on her experience having done it in other districts and as far as accounting and looking at the information and the money, that it would be probably a good fit. But again, it's only a recommendation.
Mr. Hardwick, did you have knowledge of this prior to this meeting?
No, I didn't.
Mr. Keating, did you have knowledge of this prior to this meeting?
Not number 5, number 4, I did.
Mr. Tosh, could you please make sure that these two gentlemen, like as chairs for those committees there, you let them
Yep.
know, please, prior
Okay.
to our meetings?
And I should clarify, number 4, obviously, we've talked. about
Yes,
that,
yes, it was
but
number
I
5.
was not aware of any.
Just so we,
Esser's consultant.
just so these chairs of these two committees know exactly what's going
Okay.
on prior
Yep.
to us walking up here, I assume that they already knew this. So, no big deal.
Okay.
How does everybody feel about number 5 going forward? Something we want to table? Is it something?
No, I mean, I just like to get a little more clarification from Dave as to why it's needed and what comes along with it. If it's something to help establish a financial blueprint for Esser's reporting moving forward, then it might be something that would change my mind, but I don't know anything about it. I just like to learn more about, because as Mr. Hardwick said, it was my understanding, and I'm not on the Esser's committee, that everything's been accounted for and earmarked at this point in time. So I just want to learn more as to why we need the services of a consultant for something that's kind of down the road at this point in time.
And I would echo and just say, I'm not saying I disagree. I don't understand. So I wouldn't be prepared to vote and say, yeah,
And
let's move it
I
forward.
get it.
And
And so I should say, and I talked to Paul about it, she will be in tomorrow at 10 o'clock. If you'd like to come over and maybe have a conversation with her, we're going to sit down with her. We've talked to her on the phone, but again, she'll be in tomorrow and we can get more information along those lines.
So if we
And
voted
that's something,
for-
again, that's something moving forward. It's something that we can also withdraw.
So if we withdrew 5, it wouldn't hamper her doing number 4.
No,
She'd still be
no.
interested in 4.
No.
Okay, they're not going hand in hand.
I think
No, that
it's-
was originally,
it's very clear from our discussions in the past that number 4 is a priority.
Right, I
Okay.
agree.
There's,
That's what
we need corrective action with number 4.
Mhm.
I just didn't, until this agenda came out, I didn't know anything about
Number 5.
engaging
Right.
consulting services for Essers specifically. So I would just like to learn a little more about why we need a consultant for Essers. That's all.
we originally, in the original application, we had it in as a reading specialist. And if you remember, we didn't come to an agreement on the reading specialist. So since the money was allocated with it and we knew she was coming in with the title services, the thought was use her expertise in this area too. But I'll get more information with it tomorrow when we meet with her.
could you please, Mr.
Yep.
Tosh?
Mhm.
And I guess moving on real quick, Mr. Whittier, do you know anything? Is this going to be an asset to help you along the way or?
Yeah, I think that me being new to the district, and I believe some of the people that will also utilize it are new to their positions, I think that'll be helpful, so.
Okay. Good to know.
Good.
Anything else on 4 or 5?
Just remind me, Mr. Tosh, what time are you
10
guys?
o'clock.
I'll try to swing by and just say hello.
What, if you don't, I will call you or email you the summary of it.
And
Thank
as-
you.
And I discussed, I'm in the same boat.
I'll do the same thing.
Try to run.
What I'll do is I'll email a summary to the board when we conclude our meeting with her.
Anything else? All right,
I would ask one thing. So the committee reports, I'm gonna basically deflect my committee reports to next week, especially Esser's now. I'm wondering if you would be, if you would entertain, putting committee reports for both sessions. If you have something to offer this time and you don't next week, I gave my report, it's fine. But sometimes things happen even between Wednesdays where I would update something. And it's up to you. It's the chair's agenda and admin's agenda, just as an idea, maybe having the committee reports be available, should there be any updates as well next week.
Okay.
Again, I'll need to defer mine because now I want to change Esser's.
Okay, that's fine. Absolutely. Is there anything else on items under general recommended action, item 1 through 5? So moving on, so committee reports. I mean, I would like to do mine. Mr. DeBascus, would you like to, do you have anything to report?
Just for one for this athletic, is that we've Holy Redeemers reached out to us for wrestling with the potential of doing a co-op for wrestling for the winter sports. For us, it really wouldn't make any difference to our existing program. It would, in fact, add a couple of wrestlers and fill in some weight classes. So I think it's a good idea to consider it. And we have the application, so to speak, that Redeemer created and sent to us. And now I think our solicitor has it and we're just reviewing the Ts and Cs type deal. But I would like to get that on the agenda for next week so we can move it on. Again, if anybody has any concerns about it, there's several emails floating around, or let me know. But in general, I think it's a good idea to do it. The other thing, and it is on our agenda, to accept our resignation from our head football coach. And you know, we all thank Coach Bransky for all his years of service to Valley West in football and sports. Really sad to see him go, but he's moving on to a different part in his life. But we will be actively posting that and advertising for a head football coach. I'm sure we have some internal people who will apply but that position is going to be open real soon. So, or it's open now technically. So that's it for the athletic. And just quick on the technology is, I know we've mentioned a couple of times the esports program. We have a meeting scheduled next week up to high school to talk with the teacher who's involved with that and kind of start working out some details on how to do it and what to do. So moving forward, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. DeBascus. Buildings and grounds, well, I mentioned that we had that germ pass meeting prior to all this. But Mr. Guevara, would you be able to come address us and just kind of tell us where we're at with the heating up at the high school and the AC? With the plumbing issue that we had.
As far as the boiler, water boiler in the high school, right now, they're pulling out all of the tubes and replacing them. So we've been about 8 working days into it. In several more days, they'll be completed while we do a pressure check. So within the next less than a week, we should be completed with that. We were able to give temporary hot water to the cafeteria by tying into a water heater that was put in about 2017. So we were able to get their hot water within that building. In a secluded area, that might be hot, but they have hot water over there. So that allows us to be able to run the kitchen. As far as the projects, there's 2. We've met with the contractors, the 3 of them that were hired. There's a couple of change orders that they're looking at right now, so it's credit, only because we're looking at changing a piece of equipment because of the time delay. Some of the stuff is 37 to 42 weeks out, and it's put us way toward the end of where the money has been spent. So, you know, we need to watch and make sure that we have the equipment, so we can be, at the front paying by September 30th. But we're working on that right now. We have a meeting tomorrow with that. They're still continuing to work on SS3, one of the SS3 projects, which is this building. Last Monday, on behalf of Act 80 Day, there were a bunch of more architects.
Thank you.
In the building for Danny, and they're finalizing the drawings for that. We still have to work on Third Avenue, progress. We're going to complete them now to go out to bid. Or we're in progress with them. Sidewalk IQ, almost daily I speak to them. Last Thursday, Saturday, and yesterday, they came on site to do some drone pictures. They're all complete. I just had an email tonight about 6 o'clock back and forth with them. Sent them more building drawings, produced building drawings, so that they could work on, and they said they're all good to work with. I gave them 2 years of utilities. I gave them all the drawings that I could possibly get my hands on in the buildings that they're working on digitally, putting those, on their computer and they're getting a copy. So we're work in progress on it, but we're still on.
Anything else? You good? How did we ever make out with them? Did we ever get them those blueprints for the security? Did you ever get them sent off to them for the floor plans?
We can, the only thing would be how to read them, once we give them floor plans. I think we're better off if I can give a copy of all of the reduced floor plans that we have. They're a little more legible. The ones that are provided are clear. But I did send it to Anthony, so if you send them to them.
Okay, all right, just that's good. That's all I needed to know, just so we're just, okay, yeah, just so we're moving forward, that's all. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, you brought up, or somebody mentioned, or it's just in my head, Couth. And I'm not sure what committee it would fall under, but is there any things going on with Couth, like next steps?
I haven't heard anything except for our grand opening.
After the grand opening was over, their representative made contact with me. I hooked her up with Sean Kelly, who's he runs our mental health committee, newly formed. So they're going to get together at the next meeting. I think it's Tina Sanders, I believe. She's going to meet with the mental health committee I believe it's at the end of November here, but they're moving forward with that now. That's going to be step one with it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Keating, is there anything else on buildings and grounds? Sorry.
Actually, one thing, and it was just brought to I was reminded again today, and I forgot about this. For Frank, do we have a freight elevator for the cafeteria that's been down for some period of time?
I'm still waiting for the company to put a switch in. The switch that they gave me a quote on, which is literally a small switch, they gave me a price of over $5,000. So my argument with them was, how could you possibly charge $5,000 for the switch when we repaired them a dozen times? But I could not get them to come down with price until recently, where the price was 25%, which I recently got to get it well, because the cafeteria uses it, they're willing to pay for the cafeteria for it, because they are the ones who pay to use it. So I contacted them to schedule to do the replacement.
Okay.
But they were way over.
I'm not on that committee. I just asked that because you brought it up, and it's something I've forgotten about, and I was actually reminded of it again today. So if you wouldn't mind, then just keeping building and grounds in the loop on the progress of getting that repaired. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keating. Anyone else, buildings and grounds? Moving on, Mr. Keating, contracts personnel. Do you have anything this evening?
Just under personnel, to echo what Mr. DeVasquez said, I'd like to thank Coach Baranski for his dedication and service to the district. Although things didn't pan out the best this year in terms of W's and L's, Jack is a great role model for the kids, and really did his best to help not only the program, but to shape the lives of a lot of those kids. Being a head football coach, there is a lot of time, effort that goes into doing so. And I'd just like to wish Jack well on his future endeavors.
Thank you, Mr. Keating. We had here, finance, let's see. What we had here. Yeah, finance committee, I'm sorry.
Just one thing on that, along. Just to run in sync with the site logic IQ. I met with the superintendent and business manager to review our debt service. It's something that we would, we're going to find out soon what our needs are for this district, and we're going to have to try to, parlay grant funding into potential borrowings. Refinancing appears to be off the table for some period of time with rates and just the way that our debt is structured. But in any event, we are looking into whether or not we will be strictly going the grant route, or if we have any flexibility to borrow funds that are on affordable terms to the district to complete whatever projects our board feels are necessary and compelling to the district. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Keating. Safety committee, Mr. Dickon. You have anything this evening?
Last week, we're representing AMC local. Dr. Ron, that meeting now going down for the free shot of cameras for AI technology. They want to off the web protection, weapon protection, camera, artificial. So right now, meeting, we're going back and forth first. And I'm waiting for them to get back to the advice. Other than that, high school and middle detectives today, as well. We need to do that more frequently.
Thank you, Mr. Dickon.
I did have one, right now we do the random searches up the high school by the buses. Have we ever done it for the walkers or the guys in the parking lot or guys and girls coming through the parking lot? How do we do that?
Yeah, that's what we did today. Yeah, walkers and drivers. So we won't be mixing them, but yeah, we'll move on.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dickon. Anything else on the safety committee? Moving on, staff recommended action items, items 1 through, oh boy, where we at here? 1 through 23. Any questions on those? Nothing.
Just on kind of sports related with swimming program. We had Ed Zawatsky, who's a Valley West graduate, very successful swimmer, went to Purdue on a swimming scholarship, is back at Valley West as a teacher, now kind of taken back in charge of the swim program. I think we'll be pretty successful in that department with him running it. He's very energized to do it. So I think that's a great fit for him right now.
It's very
For
exciting.
us.
It's exciting. Finance recommended items. Mr. Whittier, do you have anything for us this evening that's alarming or concerning?
No, nothing alarming or concerning yet.
Very good.
I would just say on finance, we got that report that I thought was a great report that showed the budget numbers and where we at. Can we get that monthly, or is that real hard to work?
No,
out?
I have been. I emailed it out last month because I missed the meeting, but I'll have October's for next week.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
I won't worry about it. Board member comments. Start down there, Brian,
I'm good.
Mr. Hardwick.
I did have a question, and it regarded one of your earlier comments after we did roll call of having a quorum. And it kind of made me realize if two more people weren't here, we wouldn't be able to have our meeting. I've never been told, like, how do we present ourselves not to be at a meeting? Am I supposed to call you, or how does it work? So we don't all, 5 of us get here and say, uh-oh, we don't have enough people.
So protocol is yes to speak with me. You're supposed to call the board president for excused absence is the way I understand it. Attorney Kellerman, do you have any input on that?
That's a good idea.
So that's been the way I understand it. That's all I know.
Okay.
If we could look into that policy, is that what you want us to do?
Well, I just wanted to be clear on what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
I didn't,
Show up.
I honestly.
I'm
that
not sure
part
you'll
was
find too much on the work session. The voting sessions
Right.
are pretty, there's some set rules about how many commits and stuff, but the work session, not so much. So we may have to add that since,
So if we should look into adding the work session as part of our policy, if that's something the board wants to entertain, is that something that this board would like to entertain at this point?
I don't think there should be any difference between a work session and a voting session, because this is where we're determining our agenda for a voting session.
Attorney Feldman, could you look into that for us, please?
Yep.
And give us an update on our next meeting.
Again, I'd just like to know who to call and when, or if there's a time frame, and how many times if I could be absent. Not that I'm planning anything other
Twice.
than something.
Two consecutive meetings.
Two consecutive.
And there's reasons for excused absences.
Okay.
So it seems like the work session, some of us don't show up for. So looks like a pattern. When I first came on, we only had one meeting. Do you go back to one meeting to get everybody here? Or do you do, I don't know, can you,
So,
is the work session imperative that they be here? 'Cause you're not voting is, I guess.
I think why we went to this format is there's just so much information that is here for us to digest and then make important decisions on, and spacing them out over the course.
It
of
gives you time to think about it and
meetings,
stuff, right?
gives you time to, just like number 5 tonight, had to spend a voting meeting. We're probably tabling something
Right.
to get more information, where now we could give the superintendent an opportunity to get us the information that we requested and not push this off for another month if we see that it's the,
Right.
thing and something in the best interest of the school.
But I've just noticed that some of us aren't always here for the work session, that's all. So are they not coming to the work session just because they don't want to come to the work session? I don't know, I'm just,
you have to
so
ask
with
them.
two, pardon?
You'll have to ask them, I guess.
yeah, I believe.
I
so.
guess, yeah. I'm just saying, is 2 meetings a month too much for them? Like, I don't know, that's just my question.
But personally, I like this open dialogue that the board has created. I think it's very progressive. I think we get a lot done, in my opinion.
Okay.
I would just say, again, my thoughts are that the work session is probably, other than casting a vote, because our voting sessions go pretty quick. The work session is where the meat and potatoes are served up. I'd like to see that they follow that the same criteria, whatever that criteria is, for attendance would carry over to both meetings. I'm not saying because anybody's here or not here. I truly don't understand what I'm supposed to do if I can't make a meeting. I would logically say, hey, Rick, I'm not going to be able to make it, or can I call in? But if we have a formal policy, then
Well, then they
everybody
kind
can
of
say, hey, I
miss
did.
too. You don't, you want to know how many you can miss.
Yes,
'Cause
absolutely.
I'd like to play hooky once in a while.
Some of us are dedicated, we don't miss.
Mr. Hardwick, are you good? Janet,
Yes.
good? Mr. Keating?
Rick, I just have one comment. I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in getting this Third Avenue exploration room established. I was unable to attend last week, but it had great press, and it's a wonderful benefit to the kids that need this. And I'd just like to thank everyone who played a role in seeing this to fruition. And if I hit the Powerball tonight, I want to ask ahead of time for an excused absence next week.
Me too.
Granted,
Me too.
granted, absolutely.
Well, we need it in writing.
I'll get it in advance. You're too late.
Yes.
Paul, anything else?
No, no, sir.
Mr. Brzezinski, do you have anything?
Not a thing. Thank you.
I just have two things, and Mr. Tosh or Mr. Whittiak, please fill in. How are we making out with the auditors? Are we on
Oh, yeah.
track? Everything's good? You're happy with everything?
I've received, I guess, 3 RFIs so far, 4 RFIs so far. The first 3 have been satisfied. The one we received today had to do with our independent audit, which is not yet ready. The financial statements are not yet complete, so I can't provide that until BBD is done with their work, so.
That's understandable, absolutely.
Did they give you an idea when our audit would be completed?
BBD?
Yeah.
He was here up until last Friday. And this week he's on site at Hanover. So I'm not sure if he's gonna have time to wrap it up this week, but if not, he should probably have a lot of it done early next week, because I still have to do all the adjusting entries.
I would guess that the Auditor General's group would be very, I don't know if reliance the right word, but certainly would be wanting to view that audit and maybe get a sense and feel of something financial.
Anything else? Thank you, gentlemen. Our next scheduled board meeting, our next regular meeting will be Wednesday, November 9th, 2022 at 7 PM in this room. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.